Chapter 41 How much have you hidden? You are listening at novelfull.audio. As long as I'm here, none of you can even think of leaving here. Suddenly, a bronze compass flew deep into the sky carrying the stream of light, and then released mysterious energy fluctuations. In an instant, the world seemed to be imprisoned, and a hazy light curtain could be vaguely formed. The old dwarf sneered, "Just accept your death and don't waste your efforts." Looking at the 18 Mahayana realm experts in the sky, the Xiantian sect monks felt despair in their hearts. How is this played? Hey, Huangliang Yi Meng, I originally thought that Xiantian sect would rise from then on and move towards glory, but who knew that it would not be able to escape the fate of destruction after all? Su Yonyan looked up to the sky and sighed with a sad tone. Sect master, let's fight with them. Everyone roared with red eyes. Hong Chinya's face turned ugly. Damn it, are you going to die with these ants? I won't accept it. Glancing at Yi Junlin, who was happily eating chicken wings, he felt a strong resentment in his heart. Eat, eat, eat. How long have you eaten? He obviously has a lot of cultivation resources, but he still indulges in low-level fun all day long. If it were me, he would have been invincible in the world. It would be a shame for me to die with such a person. Little Shi. Master, Shu Shu is here. I want to try the honey flavor next time. Ah, master, do we have a next time? Bai Xiaoxi was stunned, looking at the 18 oppressive figures in the sky, her furry rat face showing fear. Yi Junlin did not respond directly, his eyes reluctantly moved away from the remaining 6 pieces of Orlan's grilled wings. Hey, that's fine. Let's eat it after I finish it. Swish, under countless astonished glances, the young man in black robe climbed directly to the sky and faced off against 18 figures. Yi Junlin, you are finally willing to let go. The burly man's eyes ejaculated and he said in a deep voice. You beat my useless apprentice like a dog. As a master, of course I have to stand up for him. Yi Junlin puffed up his chest and said righteously, it's just that these words have hidden meanings both inside and outside. Your uncle. Hong Chinya's mouth couldn't help but twitch, and her chest ached with anger. I want to see what you are capable of. Hong Chinya felt that her cultivation level had surpassed that of Yi Junlin, and even if he was defeated, the other party would probably be even worse. Your fate is already doomed. I will peel off your skin, cramp your muscles, crush your bones and raise ashes to serve as a warning to others, the dwarf old man said with a cruel smile. The culprit Yi Junlin has appeared, why don't you hurry up and capture him? Lord Golden Snake said sinisterly. She was very cautious. Although she sensed that Yi Junlin had reached the perfect state of integration, even his apprentice had reached half-step of Mahayana. Is there any intention to hide his clumsiness? The other core elders who were summoned were a little angry, and they all knew that they were being used to test the details and take the lead, but this silver-haired old woman was stronger than them and had a greater say in the sect, so she had no choice but to do it even if she was unhappy. Kill! There was a roar. More than a dozen core elders set out one after another, turning their anger into fierce murderous intent. Swish! A flash of blue sword light tore through the sky and struck Yi Junlin hard on the head. Ding! It is detected that the host encounters an attack by an enemy in the early stage of the Mahayana realm. Now it triggers the passive effect of becoming stronger when encountering strong ones, and gains the cultivation level in the middle stage of the Mahayana realm. In an instant, Yi Junlin crossed from the perfect state of integration state to the middle stage of Mahayana state. Boom! An extremely powerful and vast aura rushed into the sky and shattered the clouds. The blue sword light was easily annihilated by raising his hand. At this time, Yi Junlin's long silver-white hair was flying, his face was plump and handsome, and his eyes were shining. Cool. It's so exciting. This is what it feels like to be empowered all of a sudden. With this golden finger, who is still practicing? In an instant, this sudden change in momentum immediately shocked everyone. Junior Brother Yi is a powerful person in the Mahayana realm. Su Yonyan and the others looked dull at first, and then lost their voices. Are you kidding me? It turns out that our Xiantian sect has had a distinguished person in charge for a long time. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Hong Chinya's head almost exploded. and she staggered back a few steps, her eyes full of shock. This feeling is like when you study hard and are full of confidence on weekdays, but when the test results are announced, you find that number one is actually the student who often sleeps in class and plays without turning in homework. Damn it, how much cultivation do you have hidden away? Are you capable of playing like this? Hong Chiba's eyes were bloodshot, her fists were clenched and crackling, and her whole body was shaking with anger. Suddenly, I felt like my IQ was being rubbed against the ground. He has never seen someone who likes to hide his clumsiness so much. When they met, they were nascent souls, but now they have become Mahayana. This treasure is worth hundreds of millions of points. Bah, shameless. Mahayana, it turns out you are already Mahayana. A group of core elders were shocked and angry. I disappoint you, I am not in the fusion realm. Yi Junlin joked. Done. The figure suddenly disappeared, then, appearing on top of a core elder, Yi Junlin raised his palm and slapped it violently. His silver-white hair was dancing wildly, and he said in an unquestionable tone, "Die to your labor." What? Before the man could resist, blood mist burst out all over his body. Yi Junlin flashed away again, his fist carrying surging true energy and strength, bombarding another core elder. No! All the protective magic weapons were turned into tatters. The core elder's face was full of despair and was beaten to pieces in the air, and his soul was extinguished. At this time, Yi Junlin was like a man possessed by an ancient ferocious beast. With the help of the elusive Great Void technique, he was rushing left and right under the siege of more than a dozen Mahayana realms. A punch, a palm, a foot, or a finger all activate the vast spiritual energy between heaven and earth to form a terrifying killing move that can destroy anything. Core elders died tragically one after another. Their bodies were either pierced, their heads were blown open, or they were beaten into pulp. In a flash of lightning, Yi Junlin killed 9 Mahayana with his bare hands. The other 6 core elders in the middle stage of Mahayana were so frightened that their faces turned pale and their eyes were filled with fear. They had never seen such a simple and crude way of fighting. The most important thing is that every powerful person in the Mahayana realm is a powerful being who dominates the eastern region. No matter how hard it is, you can still struggle to escape, right? As a result, he was beaten to death with his bare hands. How can there be a demon like you in the deserted state? Perhaps he was mentally stimulated. An old man with white eyebrows roared hysterically, and manipulated 16 purple gold swords to drag the stream of light away. Clang clang clang. Yi Junlin's whole body exploded with large clusters of sparks. Although his body was made of flesh and blood, he made a series of clashing sounds of gold and iron. How is that possible? The thin elder lost his voice in shock. Each of his 16 purple gold swords is a 6th grade spiritual weapon. If they all hit the target, their power will be extremely terrifying. Who can imagine that you can't even break the other person's body? It's okay, it hurts a little. Yi Junlin said seriously. Ever since he obtained the immortal hegemonic body technique, his physical body has been tempered numerous times. He just wanted to test its strength just now. Boom. A huge golden fist shined, and the thin old man was so frightened that all the hairs on his body stood up, and the terrifying impact was about to tear him to pieces. Boom. The expected blood mist did not appear. Okay. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. The thin elder breathed a sigh of relief, bowed his hands and said, "Thank you, Lord Hongwu, for taking the initiative." In front of him was the burly man. At this time, Venerable Hongwu crossed his arms on his chest, and ancient animal-shaped marks emerged, showing a bit of wildness. It was this mark that blocked Yi Junlin's attack. Interesting, you can actually block my serious punch. Yi Junlin was very interested. Venerable Hongwu appeared to be as calm as an old dog, but in fact, he was already in a turmoil inside. There was even blood gushing out of his throat, but he secretly swallowed it silently. Physical refining is my strength, and with the blessing of the beast soul mark, I was almost beaten by a punch just now. Venerable Hongwu doubted life in his heart. Chapter 42 Invincible Crush. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hoo. At this time, the sharp wind howled, and a terrifying energy aura was raging. The power of the dwarf old man rose rapidly, his white hair was dancing wildly, his eyes burst out with a sky-piercing light and his old face showed no anger or authority. In the next second, countless huge white blades cut across each other, tearing apart ferocious cracks in the void along the way. That was Master Feng's mixed breath destruction. The other core elders looked fearful. This move is an intermediate level magical power, but the most important thing is that it has been practiced by the dwarf old man to the transformation state. The power of the burst is thousands of times stronger than that of a beginner. It is with this move that he has established a great reputation among the powerful men in the Mahayana realm. Old lady, I'm here to join in the fun. The golden snake master held a snakehead crutch in his hand. His golden robe moved automatically without wind. Terrifying energy gathered at the top of the crutch, emitting a soul-stirring and terrifying aura. Suddenly, a huge snake figure emerged, with 6 pairs of dark eyes, a forked tongue hissing out, and wings flapping on its back that could cover the sky. Oh, this snake-shaped shadow twisted its body and rushed away with overwhelming power in an instant. There was an unknown black mist around it, which contained poison. Humph! Seeing his companion exerting strength, Venerable Hongwu raised his hand to make a simple fist seal, and a blazing halo appeared all over his body. Then, he raised his fist and blasted it away. The surging power of the fist was like a volcano erupting, destroying the world and destroying the earth. Tyrant fist. In an instant, 3 powerful men in the late Mahayana realm joined forces to attack, intending to completely crush the target between heaven and earth. Facing the oncoming murderous intent, Yi Junlin not only showed no fear, but instead showed a playful smile. Ding, it has been detected that the host is attacked by enemies in the late stage of the Mahayana realm. Now it triggers the passive effect of becoming stronger when encountering strong ones, and obtains the peak cultivation level of the Mahayana realm. Boom! Yi Junlin's aura surged again, becoming more powerful than before. Not good. His cultivation level. The expressions of the 3 Feng Zun masters changed drastically, and their eyes showed disbelief. Huh! Yi Junlin sneered and raised his palm to strike. The golden palm light was dazzling. Boom! A huge explosion of light emerged. In the countless frightened eyes, 3 figures flew out in unison. After barely stabilizing their bodies, they all vomited out large mouthfuls of blood and their breaths were a little sluggish. Venerable Golden Snake looked ugly. The sex information is wrong. Yi Junlin is at the peak of Mahayana cultivation. Damn it, we were all deceived. Venerable Hongwu said sadly and angrily. Venerable Feng wiped away the blood from the corner of his mouth and gritted his teeth. Now that things have come to a point, we can only use the sex secret method to kill this person at all costs. Agree. This battle must be won. It affects the Yuhua sex face. Heard, the core elders behind him all looked in awe when they thought of something. It seems that this trick is going to be used. At this time, feeling the surge of power in his body out of thin air, Yi Junlin felt extremely happy. It turns out that the reason why Venerable Hongwu blocked his attack just now but did not trigger the strong will strength mechanism was because the triggering conditions were not met. If you want to successfully trigger the mechanism, you must first take the initiative to attack. Suddenly, Yi Junlin noticed something and frowned. Buzzed out at this moment, the auras of Venerable Feng, Venerable Hongwu, and Venerable Golden Snake were extremely mysterious, releasing even more powerful energy fluctuations than before. Silver runes appeared on the surface of the skin one after another, spreading to the neck and then all over the face, and finally formed an inverted triangular vertical eye on the forehead. The gorgeous silver-white light filled the whole body, giving it a sacred and inviolable aura. Oh my God, why did those 3 venerables become like this? Could it be that what they used was the rumored Yuhua sect's unique secret method, the Yuhua ascension technique? I know. I heard that this secret technique must be practiced by those with greater potential among the core elders' lineage. This secret method was created by the founder of the sect, and it is the foundation of the Yuhua sect. Those who use the Yuhua ascension technique will have their combat power raised to a new level. That the army of practitioners began to boil. This is the eternal foundation of the Yuhua sect. Hong Qianye's face showed a solemn look. What a mysterious secret method. It is comparable to those of the great sects in the central region. That the person who created this method is as talented as a monster. Rumbling, on the horizon, three powerful figures stood across the sky, with sacred silver-white light rippling throughout their bodies, as if they had transformed into immortals. Venerable Hongwu's eyes flashed with excitement. Is this the state of using secret techniques? I feel full of infinite power. Hurry up, you also know the longer the secret method lasts, the price we will face. We have no retreat. Master Feng said solemnly. As long as I can cleanse this sect with blood, my cultivation will regress and my foundation will be destroyed, so what? Venerable Golden Snake looked crazy and roared. Kill! The roar pierced the sky. They launched an offensive with all their strength, and the magic and magical powers they unleashed were 100 times more powerful than before. With the addition of several other core elders, an airtight strangulation force was formed. Yi Junlin narrowed his eyes slightly. Interesting. Only now did he start to take it seriously. Bang bang bang. A dense explosion sounded. Yi Junlin's fists and palms intertwined, and he fought against 9 Mahayana warriors alone. Of course, more often than not, he fought against the 3 strongest sages. Yi Junlin clearly felt that his pressure suddenly increased. The art of great destruction. Feng Xuanzhao's body was covered with silver-white runes intertwined, and he raised his hand to perform the killing move of pressing the bottom of the box. Stab. A white tornado-like storm swept across, trying to tear Yi Junlin to pieces. Go to hell. Venerable Hongwu and Venerable Golden Snake, with the blessing of the feathering ascension art, exerted terrifying strength as if with divine help, forming a pincer attack and approaching crazily. Boom! At this moment, a huge coercion spread like a raging ocean wave, and behind Yi Junlin, a towering shadow emerged that covered the sky and the sun. He was wearing an imperial crown on his head, his eyes were indifferent and cold, and he stood quietly with his hands behind his back, as if standing on the long river of time. This is. Everyone's expressions were horrified, and they felt like surrendering in their hearts. It's the Dharma that appeared in the secret realm at that time. Hong Qianya breathed rapidly, and Danfeng's eyes widened. Yi Junlin, who was carrying the Dharma of the Emperor of Heaven, instantly became majestic, as if he was a different person. He raised his hand, and infinite power surged, destroying all kinds of killing moves at once, knocking the core elders backward. This is the magical power of Dharma. Master Feng said in shock. But, I have never seen this kind of Dharma before. Venerable Hongwu said in shock. In front of this huge Dharma image, they were as small as ants, eager to worship. Look, the next step is the main event. Yi Junlin said calmly. Venerable Golden Snake suppressed the throbbing in his heart and growled, Who are you trying to scare? Old lady, I haven't seen any big scenes before. Ha ha. Yi Junlin sneered, slowly raised his hand, and pointed his index finger at the center of her eyebrows. Boom. The world was eclipsed, and only Yi Junlin's finger contained the avenue. Lord Golden Snake felt unspeakable fear. The fingertips in front of him were rapidly expanding, and the crisis of death enveloped his heart. The most terrifying thing was that her body suddenly became difficult to move, the space around her was frozen, and the spiritual energy could not flow. The endless golden finger light separated from the fingertips, like a vast and glorious golden sword, tearing apart the sky to form twisted ripples, cut off the sky. What? The Golden Snake Venerable let out a shrill wail and tried his best to cast spells to resist, but in the end he could not avoid the fate of being killed. Others were so frightened that their hairs burst and they were horrified. Then, Yi Junlin raised his fist and struck fiercely. His punch was so domineering that it shocked the past and the present. With a roar, the fist seal carried a whirlpool like a black hole, crushing it fiercely. The core elders wanted to scatter and escape, but they were horrified to find that they could not control themselves, but actively approached like moths to a flame. Save me! Save me! Do not! Afterwards, those people were torn into pieces, their souls were destroyed, and they disappeared between heaven and earth forever. Venerable Feng and Venerable Hongwu were horrified. They looked at each other, turned around and ran away. The terrifying strength displayed by Yi Junlin directly destroyed their belief in fighting. Do you still want to escape? that a joking voice resounded across the sky. Venerable Feng and Venerable Hongwu were horrified to find that there were big white hands emitting blazing light grabbing each other from behind, crossing the distance of meters, grab them directly. You devil, the Yuhua sect will not let you go. Venerable Feng roared as his 7 orifices were bleeding and he struggled frantically to no avail. A great demon has emerged from the deserted state. A great demon. Venerable Hongwu shouted hysterically with a desperate look on his face. Hey, why bother? Yi Junlin shook his head and held his hands firmly. Bang. Bang. The two of them were crushed at the same time. In an instant, countless eyes looked at the invincible figure standing in the sky in shock, and the vast Dharma behind it that dominated the world. The whole world is dead silent. Chapter 43. One Move into the Soul. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a while, exclamations came one after another. The battlefield fell into a huge commotion. Hiss, all 18 core elders were killed by Yi Junlin alone. What else are we fighting for? Escape quickly. Run away, that the mighty army of practitioners began to stage an unprecedented great escape. What came into view were all figures running away, as if there was a peerless evil behind them. Well, I still have, % of the mana in my body this time, so I might as well try the new magical power I was rewarded before. Yi Junlin rubbed his chin. After improving his cultivation level, he also has more mana. If it were the same situation as last time, it would probably bottom out again. Junior brother Ye's strength is simply unfathomable. Su Yonyan and the others murmured, their hearts shaking. Master is so awesome. Bai Xiaoxi shouted excitedly, the most shocking thing here is Hongqinya. At this time, he was like a clay sculpture, dumbfounded, staring at the figure in a daze. No one knows how big a blow this was to him. Wait a minute, this is going to happen again. Hongqinya saw something and her face was filled with surprise and uncertainty. High in the sky, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was like a revolving funnel, gathering in Yi Junlin's palm, mobilizing surging magic power in his body, and pouring it out. He slowly raised his palm, and a large ball of 5-color light condensed in his palm, and then expanded crazily, like a 5-color divine sun spanning the sky, so bright that even monks thousands of miles away could see it. At this moment, it was as if time had stopped. In the shocked eyes of everyone, there was only that brilliant 5-color light group. This is the great destruction technique of 5 extremes of reincarnation. Swish. Yi Junlin held the 5-color light ball in his hand and gently threw it forward. This scene is like a tiny ant lifting a huge boulder and throwing it away. It has a strong visual impact. Rumbling, the 5-color light group fell on the army of practitioners and exploded, forming a turbulent wave of energy light. The 5 colors were intertwined and entwined, so beautiful that it gave a sense of sight of a 5-color ocean. Quick, activate the defensive formation. That the huge warships were released with defensive light curtains, but under the impact of the 5-color light, it was like the window paper was torn to pieces. The monks inside looked horrified and watched themselves being swallowed by the light. The densely packed Yuhua sect monks were all submerged, including countless golden elixirs, Yuaning, and transformed gods, all of which were wiped out in this catastrophe. Amitba, we shouldn't have come to die. This big devil is far more terrifying than the rumors say. A group of Zen practitioners sat on the flying boat, looking at the surging 5-color light, and laughed miserably. After saying this, the entire flying boat was swallowed up and turned into powder. Boom boom. Under the shroud of the great destruction technique of the 5 extremes of reincarnation, an army of millions of monks evaporated directly from the world. This scene frightened the disciples and elders of Shantian's sect. Call. There was some sweat on Yi Junlin's forehead. Feeling the consumption caused by this move, he secretly clicked his tongue. It is truly a supreme magic. We win, we win. After a moment of silence, the sect burst into cheers, shaking the world. The entire deserted state trembled, and the local monks were so impressed that they fell to the ground. Venerable Yi alone can destroy an army of millions of monks. Who can do it from ancient times to the present? Venerable Ye's power is unpredictable, and we admire him endlessly. Invincible. Lord Yi is invincible, exclamations rang out, amid warm cheers. Yi Junlin returned to Piamiao Peak. Boss, are you still missing some pendants on your legs? The master of Hidden Sword Peak quickly came over and worshipped. TCH, junior brother Yi doesn't want a stinky man like you. The peak master of Tianxiang Peak pushed him away with a look of disgust, then looked at the silver-haired young man with admiration, and said softly, Junior brother Yi, thank you for your hard work this time. Senior sister, please rub your shoulders. Those loving eyes seemed to be taking the shape of Yi Junlin. Su Yonyan smiled bitterly and said, this battle finally allowed us to see your truest cultivation. Otherwise, how long would you keep it secret from us? Junior brother Yi, Master Yi. Yes, yes. The other peak master said excitedly. Seeing this, Yi Junlin coughed a few times and said, be low-key, be low-key. Then he sat back on the lounge chair, picked up the Orlan's grilled wings and ate them happily. At this time, Hong Qianye stood there, ashamed. He had thought about escaping, but in this situation, could he still escape? After witnessing Yi Junlin's strength, Hong Qianye felt that the gap between the two sides had widened again. Even if he fought back desperately, it would be impossible to defeat him. What's more, his current condition is so bad that he can't even compare with one finger of the opponent. What should I do? What should I do? Damn it, this sixth man is such a bitch. He obviously has the peak of Mahayana cultivation, but he still pretends to be in the fusion state. I have never seen such a shameless person in my life. That while her thoughts were ups and downs, beads of sweat broke out on Hong Qianye's forehead. Thinking of the consequences she would face next, she felt a chill all over her body. He hated himself so much. Why was he so impulsive? It's okay now. He exposed his ambition and even hurt his fellow students in public. Let alone whether he can save the master-disciple relationship, it's another matter whether he survives or not. After eating 6 pieces of Orlan's grilled wings, Yi Junlin picked up the milk tea and took a sip, with a contented expression on his face. Suddenly he noticed the red Qianye stuck there like wood, raised his eyebrows and said, Hey, it turns out are you still there? Su Yonyan and the others were a little dizzy, but they didn't take it to heart at all. Hong Qianye was stunned. Does this mean the story has changed? As a result, the next second he looked desperate and felt like he had fallen into an ice cellar. Senior brother Jian, please chop him into pieces now, and then fertilize the sycamore tree in my yard. Thank you. Yi Junlin said seriously. The master of Hidden Sword Peak was a little surprised, then nodded. Oh, okay. Then, he drew his sword and was about to slash at Hong Qianye. Thump. Hong Qianye knelt down on the ground without any hesitation and shouted hurriedly, Please master, please spare my life. My disciple is willing to take the blame and make meritorious service, and I beg master for forgiveness. The master of Hidden Sword Peak paused and looked at Yi Junlin in embarrassment. Yi Junlin said with a half smile but not a smile, weren't you pretty awesome before? Why are you suddenly timid now? Hong Qianye felt her cheeks burning, and she wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl in out of shame. Master, this time my disciple is too proud and complacent. Please give me another chance to change my ways. Yi Junlin said calmly, Stop it yourself, I'll stop when I say. Yes. Hong Qianye raised her hand tremblingly, gritted her teeth, and slapped her face, causing blood to spurt from the corner of her mouth. As long as you can survive, it doesn't matter. Clap clap. Clap clap clap, the sound of the slap was clear and sweet, echoing around the mountain peak. Senior brother Hong. Bai Xiaoxi felt a little distressed and wanted to step forward to help him up, but was stopped by Yi Junlin's look. Su Yonyan's eyes kept changing, and he sighed. You should be punished for betraying the master, but Hong Qianye did protect the Shantian sect at the last moment, and he is considered a meritorious person. I suggest that he be sent to the back mountain and think about it. Let's get through it. As the sect leader, he attaches great importance to Hong Qianye's potential. Although he feels that Hong Qianye has a surly personality, as long as Yi Junlin is around, he can suppress the opponent. He will continue to guide him in the right direction in the future and believes that he can eventually integrate into the sect. Seeing that the time was right, Yi Junlin said, "In this case, the death penalty can be avoided and the life penalty cannot be escaped. Next, you go away and face the wall to think about the past." Hong Qinya stopped, his cheeks were swollen into pig heads, looking extremely funny. At this time, he stood up and bowed deeply, "Disciple Hong Qinya, thank you master for your forgiveness," that after saying that, he staggered away from Piamiao Peak. "This disciple of yours is really annoying." Su Yonyan shook his head. "In our place, only junior brother Yi can defeat him. Without junior brother Yi, we are nothing in his eyes." The master of Hidden Sword Peak snorted coldly. "After all, he is already very talented. Our Xiantian sect's ability to retain him is not entirely dependent on junior brother Yi." The master of Tianxiang Peak covered his mouth and chuckled. Yi Junlin sighed, "It's all because of my lack of discipline that makes him so wanton. Don't worry, I will continue to train him." He just liked to see his apprentice, who was obviously very unhappy, but still had to swallow his anger and force a smile. "Little Shu Shu is here. Master, I want to eat hot pot." "Okay, Shu, let's get started. Junior brother Yi, is hot pot a pot made with fire? Can this thing be eaten?" You are so curious, why not stay and give it a try?" Okay." On the back hill, a red figure stood quietly, seeing the swollen pig-headed face reflected in the pond. Hong Chenya's eyes were moist, her body was trembling slightly, and she felt extremely sad. He never thought that the road to counterattack would be so difficult. "I don't believe it. You can continue to be so proud. As long as I practice hard, I will soon reach the Mahayana, or even surpass the Mahayana. Yi Junlin, please wait for me." Chapter 44. Sign in and blast the mount. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not long after, the results of the Battle of Huangzhou were also spread, sweeping through the remaining 13 daozhou like a storm. "Let me kill you. Yi Junlin of Xiantian sect is actually a Mahayana realm cultivator. Even the 18 venerables sent by Yuhua sect were killed by him." "What? The army of 1 million monks was wiped out. What a crime. My brother is still inside. Hey, it seems that my sister-in-law can only be left to my care. With such a bloodthirsty spirit, the white-haired old devil must be punished by God. He is simply the #1 executioner in the eastern region." Across Florida, monks with sad faces can be seen everywhere, chanting sutras to save the souls in the distance. The Xiankong temple, which was originally full of fanfare, fell into silence after learning the news, and from a certain attic in Lingzhou, there was an incredible exclamation. "Impossible! That native of the deserted state is actually so strong. Is this the reincarnation of a great master from the immortal world?" Xue Tianyi's intense exercise was interrupted again. After hearing the report from his subordinates when he was angry, Xie Yi's face was full of astonishment. The guard said bitterly, "Young master, it's true." Xue Tianyi was really frightened, and his back felt chilly. Fortunately, he didn't do anything that day, otherwise even his father wouldn't be able to save him. "Quickly, find a few more female cultivators for this young master, and I will be able to suppress his shock." "What? Why are you still standing there? Can't you understand people's words? Just go if I tell you to. Otherwise, I'll bring your mother over to make up for it." Heard, the guard looked panicked and hurriedly retreated in fear. He did not want his mother to be tortured to death by Xue Tianyi. Xue Tianyi let out a heavy breath, threw himself onto the bed and continued working. Inside the curtain, the howl like a slaughtering pig sounded again. At this time, after hearing the news of the defeat, the entire Yuhua sect was shocked. Both the disciples and the elders felt extremely unbelievable. How many years has passed since the Yuhua sect suffered a defeat in a foreign war? Is this the first time that it has happened? Especially the death of 18 core elders, which has undoubtedly shaken the foundation of the sect. You must know that each of them has the power of life and death over the people below them. On weekdays, they are like gods in the sect, with a high status. As a result, this time it was all gone forever. Dang 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 dang. The death knell tolled and echoed in the sky. The atmosphere within the sect was depressing, with sobbing heard from everywhere. What are you saying is true? In the true inheritance hall, Chen Shao, who was recovering from his injuries, stood up staggeringly if he was struck by lightning, his eyes filled with horror. Holy Sun! Everything I say is true. Now that this matter has been spread throughout the eastern region, our Yuhua sect has lost completely this time. Law enforcement hall Mo Lao's eyes were red and he cried. Chen Shao staggered back, fell to the ground, and said with a sad smile, Yi Junlin, you are so scheming. You are already a Mahayana master, but you conceal your cultivation. Are you deliberately playing tricks on me? He originally thought that if he worked hard to cultivate to the combined state, he would have the capital to compete with Yi Junlin, but he didn't expect that reality slapped him in the face so quickly. That guy is not a fusion, but a Mahayana. Holy Sun, don't be discouraged. That white-haired old devil has lived for tens of thousands of years. Otherwise, how could he have such profound cultivation? You are still young and it is too early. For him, Mahayana it's the end, but for you, it's a necessary stage. After all, you have the appearance of becoming an immortal. Seeing that Chen Shao was in despair, Mr. Mo quickly spoke words of encouragement. Chen Zhao's gloomy eyes gradually brightened. Yes, I will overcome the catastrophe and become an immortal in the future. How can I just admit defeat like this? Isn't it just the Mahayana realm? I will be able to break through sooner or later. That's right. Mr. Mo nodded. Suddenly, Chen Shao seemed to have made some kind of decision, and gritted his teeth and said, Mr. Mo, please inform the superiors that I have decided to refine the sun highest object in advance, just to improve my cultivation and strength as soon as possible. What? Holy Sun, you want to? Mr. Mo's face was full of shock, and he almost suspected that his ears heard it wrong. That object of the sun, called the true fire of the sun, was rumored to have fallen from the sky millions of years ago, causing Qingzhou to be thousands of miles away and making life miserable for the people. At that time, many great powers wanted to subdue it, but were burned by the scalding true fire of the sun. With his soul completely extinguished, and when he was at his wit's end, the ancestor of the Yuhua sect finally took action, sealing the true fire of the sun deep in the sect's forbidden area with great magical power. It wasn't until Chen Shao, who was carrying the immortal body of the sun, appeared that the sect's top brass remembered that this object of the sun was suitable for Chen Zhao's use. However, because the power of this object is too overbearing, even if it is very compatible with the sun immortal body, due to Chen Zhao's current insufficient cultivation, he can only postpone the refining. In the view of the sect, one must at least reach the Mahayana realm before they are willing to hand it over to Chen Shao for refining. Because when refining, it will be very painful and difficult. If you cultivate higher, you will lessen this feeling and be more sure of success, but if you fail, the backlash will definitely lead to death. Now, Chen Shao, who has not yet reached the body-fit state, actually offered to refine the true sun fire, which made Mr. Mo feel very embarrassed. After all, Chen Shao has been in the Yuhua sect for millions of years, and his talent and physique are top-notch. He is the best candidate to become an immortal in the future. If there is any accident, the gain outweighs the loss. Holy Sun, I understand your mood, but you should calm down. Old Mo. Please believe me. I just want to become stronger now. The true fire of the sun is prepared for me. This is something that has been destined for a long time. Chen Zhao's eyes were firm and he said word by word, I, the Holy Sun, want to be reborn in nirvana. Infected by the young man's belief, Mr. Mo was greatly shocked. His eyes showed deep admiration and he sighed, okay, I will report it truthfully. Please be mentally prepared, Holy Sun. Looking at Mr. Mo's leaving figure, Chen Shao sat down cross-legged on the futon again. His thoughts suddenly came to him, and he felt like he could neither destroy nor establish, risking his life to survive. In his mind, recalling the beautiful figure in red, Chen Shao felt a sense of shame of being defeated. A look of resentment appeared on his face, and he said in a cold voice, next time, this Holy Sun will take your life. If you want to deal with the enemy who killed your father, you must start by killing his apprentice. The Battle of Huangzhou caused a stir in the eastern region. Xiantian sect's status soared crazily. Not only was it officially one of the top 10 immortal sects, it also successfully broke into the top 5, as for Yi Junlin, his reputation has naturally skyrocketed. After being fabricated by various good people, nicknames such as the white-haired old devil, the white-haired murderer, the white devil, and the leaf devil are all placed on his head. His reputation for cruelty was widely circulated. Mentioning his reputation in the middle of the night would make even a crying baby stop crying. After all, he slaughtered an army of millions of monks, and countless golden elixir yuanings died in his hands. There are also well-documented examples of how to combine gods. Even the so-called Venerable Mahayana realm, people died. Who dares to think on the bright side of such a terrifying record? There was a lot of discussion in the 14 states in the eastern region, and countless forces were in awe of Yi Junlin. At the same time, they couldn't help but set their sights on the Feather Gate, wanting to see how the Feather Gate would react to the outside world, but what is surprising is that Yuaman, perhaps because of this loss, was really hurt, so it did not take the next step of retaliation. A few months later, Xiantian sect, Piamiao Peak, the sun was shining high and the birds were chirping. Yi Junlin wore sunglasses and sat comfortably on a recliner. He picked up a goblet made of 1,000-year-old glass and said in a pretentious tone, "Mr. Hong, please give me a glass of Lafite from, dash." "Okay, Mr. Yi." Hong Qianye seemed to be used to it, with a very calm face. He stretched out his hand and put it on his chest, gently bent down to salute, then took out the obsidian bottle and slowly poured it into the goblet. "Enter the red liquid. The red liquid smells mellow and fascinating. This is brewed from 10,000 years of blood grapes and is of great benefit to the body of practitioners." Yi Junlin took a sip gently, with an intoxicated look on his face, and praised, "Very good." Hong Qianye's expression was calm and she cursed in her heart, "Yes, he's gone crazy again. This guy is really mentally ill. When will this miserable life of mine end?" He was speechless about Yi Junlin's behavior, but he could only cooperate with the performance due to his lust and power. Yi Junlin didn't pay attention to Hong Qianye's look that looked like she was mentally retarded. At this time, he was shaking the red wine glass, closing his eyes and humming a tune, immersed in his own world. At this time, the system prompt sounded, "Ding, the number of check-ins today has been refreshed. Would you like the host to check in? Sign in." Yi Junlin's heart moved and he muttered silently, "Ding, congratulations to the host for his explosive character and obtaining a supreme mount." Jingle. The cup fell to the ground, and a pool of red wine spilled on the ground. "Disciple, I know my mistake." Hong Qianye was startled, and quickly bent down and lowered his head as a conditioned reflex, thinking that it was because of himself that the silver-haired young man in front of him was dissatisfied, but Yi Junlin's mind was entirely on the reward. He was breathing a little quickly and secretly asked anxiously, "Tongzi, tell me more fully, what kind of mount is it?" Chapter 45. The ancient mythical beast recognizes its master. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding, it's Kunpeng. It's just that it's still in its infancy, but it's also in the Mahayana realm. Please host treat it well. Kunpeng, an ancient mythical beast with unlimited growth potential, it is one of the strongest creatures in the world. It can fly freely in the air and swim in the ocean. Heard, Yi Junlin was excited. How could a handsome practitioner like him go out without a gorgeous mount? It would be a bit too shabby just to fly and escape on your own. Fortunately, the system is still up to par, and compensated him with an ancient mythical beast, Kunpeng, as a mount. It's really a great tool for showing off when you go out to fight. Ha! Hong Qianye raised his head with doubts on his face, and found that this person was very happy, not angry at all, and felt very depressed inside. Damn it, why are you having trouble? Shocked. Master, suddenly, a creature with a rat head and human body came running excitedly, holding a red invitation in his hand. I saw it was wearing a pink undershirt, with white, smooth and delicate skin, a petite lowly figure, and an air of youthful vitality, but only on the neck. The white fluffy rat head stood out, and the rat face showed an anthropomorphic smile. Xiao Shi, what is this in your hand? Yi Junlin asked strangely. Bai Xiaoxi waved the invitation in her hand and said excitedly, "This is the invitation from the sect master to Shu Shu, saying that it will be handed over to you, master." Yi Junlin took the invitation and opened it. When he saw the content inside, there was a strange look on his face. It turns out that he is the ancestor of the Shui family in Lingzhou. He successfully came out of seclusion after many years of seclusion. He made a breakthrough from Mahayana to the realm of transcending tribulation, which shocked the eastern region. The Shui family was very happy, and specially sent out invitations to the outside world, allowing respectable monks to attend the banquet. The obvious meaning was that they wanted to use this ancestor's breakthrough to overcome the tribulation and increase the Shui family's influence. As we all know, those in the Mahayana realm can be called venerable, but once they break through to transcend tribulation, they will be called virtual immortals. After all, it goes without saying how powerful this realm is to have something to do with immortal characters, because one step further is the rumored true wonderland. That is an immortal who has truly achieved transcendence, a being who stands at the top of the world of cultivation, a state that countless monks long to achieve. At this time, Yi Junlin rubbed his chin and said with great interest, "Inviting Xiantian's sect to the banquet at this juncture seems to be an attempt to knock down the mountain and shake the tiger, so as to achieve the prestige of the ancestor of the Shui family. Virtual immortal. Is it awesome? Believe it or not, labor and management can work together in minutes. Let me show you." Ding, a new mission is triggered randomly. The host brings a new mount to the Shui family for a banquet. If it successfully shocks the audience, you will receive special rewards. The system beep sounds. Tongzi, your mission came just in time. My pretentious heart is already ready to move. Yi Junlin smiled crookedly. If you don't go out and show off, are you worthy of your newly acquired mount? Master, are we going? Bai Xiaoxi asked. We're leaving now, Yi Junlin secretly said. Tongzi, summon me the supreme Mount Kunpeng immediately. Ding, summon the host now. Rumbling, deep in the endless sky, a terrifying and majestic pressure swept over. The bright light hung like a star river, and a huge creature slowly emerged from the clouds, revealing its vast body of 10,000 meters. It was a giant creature that floated in the 9 heavens and looked like a deep-sea whale, with wings flapping on both sides. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth within a radius of 100 miles was instantly chaotic, and the mighty wind was overwhelming. Boom. Xiantian's sect was in a huge shock. All the raised spirit beasts were lying on the ground, feeling the unprecedented suppression of blood, trembling with fear, and excreting and urinating. Countless disciples and elders looked horrified and looked up at the sky in disbelief, feeling as if they had fallen into an ice cellar and feeling cold all over their bodies. What's going on? Is it a monster attacking the sect? Exclamations filled the air, and panic spread everywhere. Su Yonyan and the others flashed out from the major peaks, looking at the huge and boundless giant creature, their eyes showing a touch of ultimate shock. Sect Master, this is actually a supreme-level monster in the Mahayana realm. Why are you here? Is it from the Yuhua sect? Because of the delay, I think it's best to activate the sect protecting formation. Quick, activate the sect protecting formation. Su Yonyan shouted anxiously. Boom. The sect protecting formation hidden in Xiantian's sect was activated, and countless blazing halos rose up, like dense stars floating in the sky. The halos intertwine and surround each other, forming a mighty and unpredictable star map, and they must resist the giant creatures that are getting closer and closer. After Yi Junlin's changes a while ago, Xiantian's sect protecting formation has made a new breakthrough, which is enough to block ordinary Mahayana realm attacks. But now, in front of that terrifying creature, the sect protecting formation was trembling visibly to the naked eye, as if it couldn't even withstand its pressure. Ah! The monster is coming. Seeing this scene, Bai Xiaoxi was so frightened that she squatted on the ground with her head in her hands, her face full of fear. Could this be? Hong Qianye found it unbelievable and her breathing became rapid. With his eyesight, he could naturally recognize the identity of this giant creature. This is one of the most powerful ancient mythical beasts in rumors, Kunpeng. Yi Junlin's eyes flickered and he nodded with satisfaction. this Kunpeng was only in its infancy, but it had such terrifying power. Even the 18 core elders were probably easily torn into pieces by it. If it grows further, how terrifying will its power be? At this time, Hong Chiba took 2 steps back, and there was a good chance that she would run away if the opportunity failed. Joke. If an ancient beast of this level suddenly descends on the sect and attacks the sect, he will definitely die if he is involved. Hong Qianya glanced at the silver-haired young man again, and secretly said in her heart, "See, this is your retribution," that he didn't think that Yi Junlin could defeat Kunpeng. Even if he was in the Mahayana realm, as one of the strongest ancient beasts, his combat power was definitely undoubted. Just when people were panicking, Yi Junlin rose from the ground and turned into a rainbow and rushed into the sky. "Look, Yi Feng is about to take action," some disciples shouted in surprise. "Junior brother Yi, be careful." Su Yonyan and the others said nervously, "At the moment, only the master of Piamiao Peak, the face of Xiantian sect, can fight against that monster." Unexpectedly, Yi Junlin waved his hand to remove the sect-protecting formation, and then waited motionlessly for Kunpeng to arrive. Kunpeng was flying in the sky, exuding the aura of a king that was overwhelming to the people. After seeing Yi Junlin appear, his speed suddenly increased and he rushed over with a huge wave of air. Seeing Kunpeng getting closer and closer to Yi Junlin, many people were frightened and turned pale with horror. "Is he going to die?" Hong Qianya was stunned and murmured. Next second, seemingly seeing an unforgettable scene in her life, Hong Qianya's pupils shrank sharply, her pupils trembled violently, and she lost her voice. How is this possible? In the countless astonished eyes, the fierce Kunpeng was no longer as ferocious as when he appeared on the scene. At this moment, he was like a docile cat, gently rubbing his head against Yi Junlin. The behavior is very affectionate, which is inconsistent with the huge size. "Good boy, so good boy, you will follow me from now on." Yi Junlin stretched out his hand and patted the corner of his mouth with a smile. Kunpeng shook his body excitedly, opened his mouth and made a loud sound, looking very cheerful and lively. Seeing this scene, Xiantian sect fell silent. Countless people had dull faces and open mouths. What the hell? What's going on? Did I read it correctly? Lord Yi raised his hand and subdued it. The disciples looked in disbelief and spoke in awe. "Sect master, that monster seems to know junior brother Yi." The master of Hidden Sword Peak asked in surprise. "What?" Screams rang out, causing them to look over one after another. "Junior sister Kai, what's wrong with you?" The master of Tianxiang Peak covered his plump chest and looked at the behemoth, with shock in his beautiful eyes. "Everyone, this monster looks very much like an ancient mythical beast called Kunpeng that I saw in an ancient book before." Kunpeng. Ancient mythical beast. Hearing these 2 titles, everyone's hearts twitched. Junior sister Kai said this, and I also remembered it. But according to the description in the book, the adult Kunpeng is huge and can swallow planets alive and travel all over the world. But this Kunpeng is obviously far different from the rumors. Su Yonyan swallowed his saliva. "I think it's because this Kunpeng is still in its infancy." Hiss. Everyone gasped. Such a rare ancient divine beast actually appeared in Xiantian sect and was obedient to junior brother Yi. What's happening here? Chapter 46 Heading to Lingzhou. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yi Junlin turned around and introduced with a smile, "Don't panic, everyone, this is my Mount Kunpeng." As soon as this statement came out, it caused a huge sensation. Holy shit, this ancient divine beast is actually willing to be junior brother Ye's mount. The masters of Hidden Sword Peak were dumbfounded, feeling extremely envious in their hearts. Su Yonyan sighed with emotion, "Junior brother Yi, God is indeed blessing us. Maybe this is fate." At Piamiao Peak, Hong Qianya, who was at a higher cognitive level, suffered a severe psychological impact. He used to be an immortal. He was in the center of the Kunlun world and was exposed to much more secrets than ordinary monks. According to what he learned, the mythical beasts in this world have become extinct, let alone the descendants of the ancient mythical beast Kunpeng. But now, Kunpeng's descendants not only suddenly appeared, but also took the initiative to serve as Yi Junlin's mount. This made Hong Qianya feel very outrageous. According to rumors, those who are destined to have great luck will receive many unimaginable opportunities. Even mythical beasts may come after them just to recognize their master. Is this guy really that kind of existence? Thinking of what she had experienced before, Hong Qinya's breathing almost stopped, her heart seemed to be turbulent, and the way she looked at Yi Junlin was different. He possesses a treasure trove of suspected ancient relics, reached the Mahayana realm at a young age, and has mastered various mysterious powers. Now even the descendants of the ancient beast Kunpeng have taken the initiative to show up and claim their master. Isn't this a person with great luck? Why? Why should God care for a guy like him who shows off every day and is willing to degenerate? But a demonic monk like me, who has been struggling and practicing hard, will have his dignity trampled on by him. Thinking of the injustice she suffered during this period, Hong Qinya resisted the urge to cry, and the sadness in her heart flowed back into a river. Midair, Yi Junlin patted Kunpeng's head and said with emotion, "I will call you a Kun from now on." Hearing this kind name, Kunpeng swayed his body happily, whipping up a mighty wind and making the monks below him stagger. Yi Junlin thought for a while and felt that something was almost missing. He raised his hand to make a hand gesture and pointed his fingers somewhere. Rumble, under the influence of magic power, a magnificent palace rose from the mountain peak and gently landed on Kunpeng's back amid countless shocking gazes. "Yes, this way I can lie down inside." Yi Junlin nodded with satisfaction. The master of Hidden Sword Peak was dumbfounded. He looked at the empty scene of his Hidden Sword Peak, held his head in his hands and screamed like a groundhog, "Ah! That is my home." Puff. Seeing this, the other peak masters burst into laughter. The sect leader Su Yuyang coughed a few times and said solemnly, "Junior brother Jian, I understand your feelings. Although junior brother Yi moves away your house, the sect will build you a bigger one as compensation." That the master of Hidden Sword Peak cheered up again, scratched his head and said with a smile, "That's good." Not far away, Yi Junlin shouted, "Disciples, come up quickly, I'm going to set off as a master." "Okay, Shu Shu is here." Bai Xiaoxi glanced at Hong Qinya, who was bowing her head at the side, stretched out her little finger to poke it, and said cautiously, "Senior brother Hong, master told us to leave." Hong Qinya slowly raised her head and said calmly, "Yes." He looked at Yi Junlin's figure, his eyes flashed with a sharp light, and he said secretly in his heart, "Humph, I admit that people with great luck are indeed powerful, but I don't believe it, and will always rely on others. As long as if you have patience, sooner or later I will be able to plunder your luck and turn it into my own." It's no wonder Hong Qinya thinks so, because he was just a little beggar who suffered from hunger and cold at first. Later, relying on his tenacious faith, he gradually grew up to become the powerful leader of the demon cult. In his eyes, if you practice hard and work hard, as long as you don't admit defeat, anything is possible. Rumbling, Kunpeng vibrated its huge wings, controlled the majestic airflow and rushed towards the sky, disappearing from everyone's sight. By the way, is it really okay if junior brother Yi goes to the Shui family for a banquet? After all, the ancestor of the Shui family is a virtual immortal. The master of Jinxiang Peak said worriedly. "Don't worry, with the ancient beasts as companions, so what if the void immortal is there? As long as junior brother Yi doesn't cause any trouble, I'll be thankful." Su Yonyan clasped his hands behind his back, and a meaningful smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. The Shui family wanted to knock down the mountain to scare the tiger, but the tiger just ran over by himself. I think the Shui family will definitely regret it. Lingzhou, thousands of miles high in the sky, clouds and mist billowed. Suddenly, scattered floating islands appeared, varying in size, with row upon row of houses on them, and between these floating islands, there were dark iron cold chains intersecting each other. In the center is a huge floating island with a vast area, surrounded by small islands like stars holding the moon. This floating island has the strongest aura, and all the buildings are magnificent and even more spectacular. If you look carefully, you will find that the place is decorated with lights and colorful decorations, and there is a joyful atmosphere everywhere. That's right, this is the Shui family's territory. All floating islands are owned by the Shui family, and descendants of the Shui family live on them for generations. As for the largest giant floating island, it is naturally the main residence of the Shui family. The Shui family who can live there are the direct descendants of the noble family. but today is different. Because the ancestor of the Shui family successfully broke through the border, the Shui family specially held a large-scale banquet so that all members of the Shui family branches were eligible to go to the main island to rejoice. On the sky, countless streams of light of different colors shuttled through the void, heading towards the majestic large floating island. Male and female cultivators in different costumes, riding flying boats, flying swords, or riding flying war beasts, were invited from all the major states in the eastern region to attend the banquet. You must know that after the ancestor of the Shui family was promoted to the virtual immortal, it also meant that the status of the Shui family increased with the tide, and the Shui family members followed the chickens and dogs to ascend to heaven. The Shui family, which was originally known as the #1 cultivator family in Lingzhou, now has a more solid position because of this incident, no matter what the purpose is. All the major forces have to save face and dare not offend the Shui family, which is gaining momentum. The head of the Shui family, there was an endless stream of guests and a huge flow of people. Congratulations, the Shui family has a void immortal. In the next 30 years, the Shui family will be protected by the void immortal. I really envy the rest of us. The great elder of a certain sect raised his hands in congratulations. Hey, what are you talking about? Don't think you are a virtual immortal now. You may break through and become a true immortal in the future. That is an existence that can survive for millions of years. Mr. Shui, do you think what I am saying makes sense? A certain prince of a certain dynasty said flatteringly. Mr. Shui is the eldest descendant of the Shui family. Isn't his status higher now? Not to mention in Lingzhou, he can go sideways even in the entire eastern region. Another famous sword cultivator picked up the wine glass and said with a smile on his face. Dui laughed. Yes, yes, please take good care of us in the future, the surrounding guests shouted. Good talk, good talk. The man in brocade clothes had a strange face, a proud smile on his lips, a fan in his hand, and a graceful step on his feet. The people who can come here are all well-known figures from all the major states in the eastern region. The way they flatter each other at this time greatly satisfies Shui Tianyi's vanity. By the way, I wonder if the Shui family has sent an invitation to Xintian sect? Suddenly, a guest asked. Suddenly, the noisy atmosphere suddenly fell silent. Curious glances from all around focused on Shui Tianyi. Since the end of the Battle of Huangzhou, Xintian sect's name is undoubtedly the most resounding in the entire eastern region. Even the Yuhua sect suffered a big loss due to intelligence errors. Millions of monks were defeated on the battlefield, and many elders died as a result. Who knows that Yi Junlin is actually a venerable person? If even people from the Xintian sect participated in this banquet, the significance it would bring would be extraordinary. Shui Tianyi's eyes flickered and he sneered. Of course there is, but I wonder if Xintian sect dares to send someone to attend the appointment. Don't just find some unknown person to fool my Shui family, otherwise you won't even be able to get in. What if Yi Junlin comes in person? A guest shouted, hear the name. When Shui Tian thought of that black-robed figure, some beads of sweat overflowed from his forehead, but a look of pride appeared on his face, and the fan in his hand shook slightly. Let him, a country bumpkin, see my soul. The heritage of the Zhou Shui family. Chapter 47 Embarrassment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Master Shui is so domineering. Hearing this, everyone gave a thumbs up excitedly. One guest said flatteringly, although Yi Junlin is a venerable person, when he sees our Mr. Shui, he has to come over and offer a toast. After all, Mr. Shui's ancestor is a void immortal. After all, no matter how powerful the venerable is, he can compete with the void immortal. Xianbi. Ha ha ha, that's right. All around roared with laughter, being praised one after another by everyone. Shui Tianyi almost floated to the sky. He was so proud that he secretly said, Yi Junlin, it doesn't matter how famous you are. In front of me, you have to be a dragon. As the #1 dandy in Lingzhou in the eastern region, others would do their best to support their father and silently fight for their father, but Shui Tianyi was different and directly relied on his ancestor. At this moment, horrified shouts came from outside the mansion. Oh my God! What is that? Rumbling, in the sky, a majestic king's pressure spread like a wave. covering the floating island group occupied by the Shui family, especially those smaller floating islands are shaking at a speed visible to the naked eye. Countless residents were so scared that their scalps were numb and their expressions were horrified, their eyes widened in horror, and their eyes flashed with extreme shock. On the surface of the vast clouds, a huge creature with a length of meters emerged. It looked like a giant whale in the deep sea. Its wings that covered the sky and the sun were beating slowly, and endless energy airflow was roaring. The gorgeous treasure ships and flying boats nearby were all involuntarily avoided. The monks on them were stunned and stared at them. What kind of monster is this? I feel the aura of His Holiness. Someone looked scared. Among them, there was an old man in green who was sitting on the back of the rock. Seeing this huge beast, he exclaimed as if he had been struck by lightning, This is Kunpeng. Kunpeng. I've heard that it was an ancient mythical beast that was rumored to have disappeared for a long time. Many monks who knew the origin showed shock on their faces. This time the Shui family held a grand banquet, and a Kunpeng actually appeared. Is this an auspicious sign? Wait, look carefully, there is a palace on its back. This Kunpeng has an owner, that I don't know who shouted. Suddenly, hissing and gasping sounds came from all directions. Use Kunpeng as a mount. Who is this boss? Is there such a fierce person in the entire eastern region? Just as exclamations arose, Kunpeng rushed towards the Shui family head's mansion on the giant island with overwhelming power. The Shui clan members on the island, whether they were men, women, old or young, were all frightened by this powerful mythical beast. Master Shui, look quickly, there is a powerful man driving Kunpeng to attend the banquet. My darling, you use a supreme-level beast as a mount. This is too big for you. Who is the other party? Does he have any friendship with the ancestor of the Shui family? That the guest speculated. Shui Tian's face was dull. He suddenly thought of something and coughed a few times. Yes, this visitor has a relationship with my ancestors. My parents once told me that when I was born, he even showed up specially. He wanted to adopt me as his adopted son, but later, my parents felt that the karma was too great, so they declined him. Now that I think about it, I feel really sad. As he said that, Shui Tian looked in the direction of Kunpeng, with a look of reminiscence in his eyes. And this, after hearing these words, everyone's expressions changed dramatically, and their awe for the Shui family deepened. Even such a big boss who regards Kunpeng as his mount has a relationship with the Shui family behind his back, and even adopted Shui Tianyi as his adopted son in his early years. The strength of this Shui family is really terrifying. I dare to ask which Taoist friend traveled thousands of miles to come to the banquet. I have received this friendship. Suddenly, a majestic voice sounded from the Shui family like a bell and fell clearly on everyone's ears. Swish, a tall middle-aged figure appeared in a flash, with long purple hair hanging down his waist, his eyes as deep as the sea, and his whole body filled with an unfathomable aura. He stood in the void with his hands behind his back, as if even the heaven and earth were controlled by him. After seeing this person, all the Shui clan members bowed their hands respectfully and said, I've met our ancestor. That's right, this is the ancestor of the Shui family, a newly promoted virtual immortal in the tribulation realm. The void immortal possesses power that reaches the heavens and the earth. No matter how many venerables put together, they cannot compare. This is also the reason why the Shui family dares to make a big splash, because they really have the qualifications. At this time, because Kunpeng's aura was so strong, he directly attracted the ancestor of the Shui family. He was secretly wondering which big shot could travel so well. Under the gaze of countless eyes, the Kunpeng slowly descended to the low altitude, carrying the palace on its back, and 3 figures walked out of it. Xiantian sect, Yi Junlin. A clear voice suddenly came out, and the speaker was a handsome young man wearing a black robe embroidered with gold and long silver-white hair. I saw Yi Junlin walking calmly with his hands behind his back. Boom. In an instant, the whole place fell into a huge boil. As the saying goes, the name of a person is the shadow of a tree. The battle of Huangzhou that shocked the eastern region a while ago was led by the man in front of me. Now, this man has appeared in person and is driving the supreme level Kunpeng. This has simply stolen the Shui family's limelight. The outside world is spreading rumors that Xiantian sect is an ancient sect. I had doubts before, but now I really believe it. Even Kunpeng is used as a mount, which shows how terrifying the background is, that someone couldn't help but say. This. The most shocked person was definitely Xuetiani. When he saw Yi Junlin walking out from Kunpeng's back, his head suddenly felt like it was going to explode. Immediately afterwards, an unprecedented sense of shame and anger burst out from the depths of his heart. After all, just now he plausibly fabricated his friendship with this big boss. Who would have imagined that this big boss is Yi Junlin? Mr. Xuetian's entire face was so red that it was bleeding. It was like a large-scale social death scene. After a while, he took a deep breath and said in a cold voice, "Did I say anything? I advise you to think about it carefully." That everyone's heart skipped a beat and they quickly shook their heads in denial. No. Mr. Xue didn't say anything. We didn't hear anything either. That this is true on the surface, but secretly he is cursing. This bitch is so fucking thick-skinned. Huh. Xue Tian sneered and cast a vicious look at Yi Junlin. At this time, when the ancestor of the Xue family heard this name, he was stunned subconsciously. When he combined it with the recent rumors, his eyes became dark and unclear. He really didn't expect that the person who could control Kunpeng was actually a junior. If it weren't for the fear of Xiantian's sect and the origin of Kunpeng, I would have wanted to snatch it away. After all, they are the descendants of ancient mythical beasts. Pure blood, terrifying potential. But now, since the other party is visiting, he must save face no matter what, and further test this person's background. It turns out that Venerable Yi is coming here, which really makes me, the Xue family, proud. The ancestor of the Xue family showed a smile and cupped his hands. It stands to reason that he is at the level of a virtual immortal, a mere venerable, and not worthy of his doing this at all, but Yi Junlin is special and worthy of him lowering his profile. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the mission. As a reward, the automatic cultivation speed of all magical powers and techniques will be increased 50 times. The system beep sounds. It's really good. It seems like it's good to have a cool mount. Yi Junlin secretly sighed. He looked at the ancestor of the Xue family, cupped his hands and said politely, "On behalf of the Xiantian sect, Yi Mao congratulates you for breaking through the tribulation." That the ancestor of the Xue family nodded and gestured, "Please." Afterwards, Yi Junlin and the others stepped into the Xue family's mansion Shiren. The surrounding guests stared in awe and whispered. The smelly monks in Florida all said he was a white-haired old devil, but when I saw him today, I found that he looks quite handsome and not as scary as the rumors say. Compared to the title of the white-haired old devil, I think the white-haired killing god is more appropriate, because too many people have died at his hands. Look, the woman in red next to her is Yi Junlin's eldest disciple. The outside world calls her the Red Fairy. Hiss, she is so beautiful, she is truly stunning in the world. That the focus of many guests was on Yi Junlin at first, and then shifted to Hong Qinya. After all, it's hard not to attract attention with Kurenai Chiba's eye-catching red dress, unique cool temperament, and delicate and flawless face. As for Bai Xiaoxi, because she was afraid of being pointed at, she specially put on a curtain hat this time. The entire rat head was covered, leaving only her exquisite and petite body exposed. Because it follows Yi Junlin's but, it is considered a personal boy. Bai Xiaoxi looked around through the gauze curtain of her hat. When she found a variety of precious fruit snacks, she waved her little hands excitedly. Wow, there are so many delicious ones. Senior brother Hong, take a look. That the corners of Hong Chinya's mouth twitched a few times, and she was speechless at this nervous rat. Yi Junlin smiled and said, "Shao Shi, if you want to eat, go ahead and eat." Really? Then Shu Shu is not welcome. Bai Xiaoxi's eyes lit up and she ran over happily. At this time, Xue Tian narrowed his eyes slightly and decided to take the initiative to regain the situation. Then, he shook the fan in his hand and walked over calmly, with a smile on his lips. "Brother Yi, you are fine." Yi Junlin turned to look at him, looking up and down with a strange expression, and secretly said in his heart, "Who is this bad guy? Do you know me well?" Chapter 48. A good show is about to be staged. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing that there was no response from the other party, Shui Tiany's smile was a little stiff. He coughed a few times and added, I am the young master of the Shui family, and I am in the same direct lineage as the ancestor of the Shui family. The implication is that my status is very noble. Why don't you come and support me quickly? Yi Junlin suddenly said, that's it. It's okay, it's not too late to know now. Shui Tian smiled, preparing for the flattering words that followed. It has nothing to do with labor and management. That Yi Junlin said these words and walked away without looking back. Shui Tiany's smile disappeared from his face in an instant, and he clenched his back teeth tightly. He looked at Yi Junlin's back, his eyes were covered with scarlet bloodshot eyes, and he was shouting crazily in his heart. I am the young master of the Shui family. The future heir to the head of the Shui family. My ancestor is a virtual immortal. How dare you, a native, be so rude to me? How dare you? The guests who witnessed this scene looked stunned. Isn't this too disrespectful? After Shui Tiany hit a wall, due to the situation, he had to hold back his anger and readjust his condition. His eyes couldn't help but fall on Hong Qinya, is her. The peerless genius who defeated the holy son of Yuhua sect that day. He is also the chief disciple of Yi Junlin. Because this time it was at a banquet, Shui Tiany had more time to appreciate it slowly. The more he watched, the more fascinated he became, and his heart was pounding like a deer. How beautiful! This face and this temperament are incomparable to the group of Rouge fans that I play with. My young master is charming, and many female cultivators have fallen into trouble. I believe that as long as I approach her and strike up a conversation, I will be able to win her over with my personal charm. Shui Tiany said secretly, he has played with too many women, and has conquered various female monks who have high self-esteem. Now with the aura of the grandson of Shuxian above his head, Shui Tiany does not believe that Hong Qinya can still remain calm. He has a bad taste and wants to pry off Yi Junlin's female apprentice, which will give him more pleasure in revenge. And thinking about the feeling of being pressed under me after I succeed, Shui Tiany was a little excited. At the same time, Hong Qinya stood in front of an exquisite vase, frowned, reached out and took out a bouquet of flowers. Each petal has intertwined patterns of stars, emitting bright light, which is refreshing. The red fairy likes flowers. Suddenly, a clear voice came from behind. Shui Tian walked over, waving his fan gracefully, and said in a gentle voice, this flower is called Yaotua flower. It is the most suitable flower for viewing, but this kind of flower is very rare, and my Shui family has only just collected it. 6 flowers, as the saying goes, a sword is given to a hero, and a good flower is given to a beauty. If the red fairy likes it, just take it, and it is a small token of appreciation. Shui Tiany was very confident. He had used this kind of flower to pick up girls before, and it was indeed very effective. After all, this kind of flower is rare in the world, can bloom for thousands of years, and is even more beautiful and dazzling at night. Which girl can refuse it? Heard, Hong Qinya showed disdain and put the flower in her hand back, thinking secretly, stupid pig. This is called the star flower in the central region. It can be used to make elixirs that improve mental power. This kind of material is unacceptable. A lot of high-quality goods are actually used to arrange vases here. You are indeed a country bumpkin. But when Shui Tian saw that the other party was not grateful, he tentatively asked, red fairy? Hong Qinya couldn't stand hearing it anymore. Don't call me fairy, I'm a man. Shui Tian was stunned, and then he said with a smile on his face, red fairy, you are so funny. He is beautiful and can tell jokes so well. Can you please accompany me to the wing to exchange your cultivation experiences? Hearing this, Hong Qinya's face was as cold as frost. Get out. Shui Tiany was dumbfounded. Is it so direct? The surrounding guests were stunned, and then looked at Shui Tiany meaningfully, as if they were looking at a clown. Shui Tian refused to give up and smiled, red fairy, if you keep pestering me, you will die. Hong Qianya's eyes were cold and she released the pressure that enveloped her. Boom. Shui Tian's head almost exploded, his eyes widened, cold sweat broke out on his forehead. His back was wet with cold sweat, and his legs were shaking a little. He seemed to see an endless mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, with a fiery red blurry figure standing with hands behind his back, surrounded by monstrous demonic flames of destruction, bringing a shocking sense of oppression. Thump. Xue Tian's knees went weak and he knelt down in front of everyone. Fuck, but the guests exclaimed. Master Xue is so crazy, he actually knelt down for Fairy Red. Is this the latest way to pursue someone these days? A female monk covered her mouth and asked in surprise. The crowd pointed. Xue Tian turned a deaf ear. At this time, he was trembling all over, and he was still immersed in that terrible scene and couldn't extricate himself. It felt like in front of that blurry red figure, even the ancestors of the Xue family who were at the void immortal level were just ants. You traitor! The Xue family has disgraced you. The head of the Xue family came over with a gloomy face and scolded. The loud voice fell on Xue Tian's ear, like thunder exploding. Xue Tian suddenly woke up, stood up tremblingly, and murmured, "Dad, I..." Snapped. A loud slap. Half of Xue Tian's cheek was swollen and painful. What a disgrace. The head of the Xue family hated that iron could not make steel. He is a strong person in the Mahayana realm. If this slap was really hard, Xue Tian, who was in the god transformation realm, would have been slapped to death early in the morning. Ha! Hong Qianya crossed his arms with a playful smile on his lips. The head of the Xue family turned to Hong Qianya and said seriously, "Fairy Hong, it's all my fault for not being able to discipline my dog well." Hong Qianya's smile disappeared and she emphasized every word, "I am a man." The head of the Xue family was stunned, then laughed a few times. "Red Fairy, you are so funny." Hong Qianya. He resisted the urge to run away and decisively turned around and left. At this time, Hong Qianya is extremely eager to improve her strength, so that she can be like she used to be in the Central Territory, just kill if she feels the slightest bit unhappy, and live as she pleases without any moral baggage, not like now, with hands and feet tied up. Ha! The head of the Xue family frowned when he saw this, but he didn't care about anything. After all, the other party's master was Yi Junlin, and even his own ancestor had to treat him with courtesy, so he was not qualified to offend him. Looking at his unfulfilled son, the head of the Xue family snorted coldly and walked away. Xue Tianyi looked ugly. Hearing the whispers around him, there was a burning anger in his chest, and his whole body was trembling with anger. Damn it, my ancestor is a virtual immortal, and I am a direct bloodline. Why do you master and disciple treat me like this? Xue Tianyi was roaring in his heart, resentful of Yi Junlin and Hong Qianya. Then, feeling full of anger, he walked to the other side of the table, picked up the wine bottle, and drank while everyone looked at him in astonishment. The wine that can be used to entertain monks is naturally not an ordinary thing. If a mortal touches a drop of it, his body will be torn apart by the violent force of the wine and he will die on the spot. Mr. Xue, you. One of the guests opened his mouth, but was immediately dissuaded by his knowledgeable companion. Hush, Mr. Xue is drinking. Let's not get into trouble with him at this time. At this time, there was an uproar from the other side. Everyone looked at it with surprised expressions. Let me go, what is that? That I saw a petite figure wearing a pink underskirt with snow-white and delicate skin, holding a big gourd in both hands and pouring wine into her mouth crazily. Because the curtain hat fell to the ground, revealing the white fluffy rat head, it looked very weird. She has a delicate figure, but she has a rat head on her neck. The combination is really eye-catching. After finishing the drink, Bai Xiaoxi lay on the ground holding the big gourd. Her face was a little red, and she was drunk. She burped and said, "It tastes good." Not far away, Yi Junlin smiled bitterly and secretly said, "Xiaohong, go and see your junior sister Bai." "Yes, master." Hong Chiba responded. He walked over with a cold face, secretly thinking that this mouse was really troublesome. At this moment, Hong Qianya seemed to feel something and looked towards the source. There was a middle-aged man wearing a bamboo hat and unshaven beard standing quietly in the corner, looking at Xue Tian, who was drinking alcohol intentionally or unintentionally. One of those bloodshot eyes were filled with extremely suppressed murderous intent. After Xue Tian finished drinking, he felt that it was not enough, so he called a few followers and walked out of the hall. the man in the bamboo hat also restrained his breath and followed silently. Hong Chenyan narrowed his eyes slightly. In his eyes, the other person was like a ferocious beast that was about to explode, trying to choose someone to devour. It looks like something good is going on. Chapter 49: The Mysterious Assassin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Small bridges, flowing water, pavilions and pavilions. When Xue Tian thought about the ugliness he made at the banquet, the anger in his heart burned brightly. He felt extremely uncomfortable and needed to find someone to vent his anger to. Taking advantage of his drunkenness, he growled at his men, "Find some women for me, I need them now." Sensing the other party's violent mood, the subordinates knew that another woman was going to be tortured to death, so they were so scared that they lowered their hands and said, "Yes." Xue Tian was drunk and staggered a little. At this time, a follower came over to help him, but he threw his hand away with a bad attitude and cursed, "Get out. Get out of here, master." Seeing this, the follower retreated in panic, fearing that he would be killed by the moody young master. Xue Tian walked alone on the green path, feeling the breeze blowing, and the depression in his heart was slightly relieved. Sudden, a murderous intention was locked on him. The terrifying ink-colored sword light shattered the void, splitting Xue Tian in half from head to cross. The person who made the move could be said to be quick, accurate and ruthless. Almost in a blink of an eye, the sword light had already reached the target's head. At this moment, purple light erupted from Xue Tian's body, blocking the ink-colored sword light, and even formed a domineering force that backfired on the attacker. Ugh! A grunt sounded, the man vomited a large amount of blood and fell back several feet, his eyes filled with extreme reluctance. Who? Xue Tian's originally confused mind was suddenly frightened by the sudden attack, and he suddenly turned around to look. It was a middle-aged man wearing a bamboo hat and an unshaven beard. His eyes were as sharp as an eagle, and he was staring at him with hatred on his face. At this time, the man in the hat was in a turmoil. He did not expect that Xue Tian had some kind of secret treasure on his body, which could play a life-saving role at critical moments. As he was in the early stage of the fusion realm, it was logically very easy to crush an avatar, but in the end, he was seriously injured without killing himself. "You are so brave. You dare to attack me in the Xue family." Xue Tian was shocked and angry. This is the territory of his Xue family, and there is a void immortal-level ancestor sitting in charge. Who would have thought that in this environment, a madman would dare to assassinate him? Do you think your life is too long? At the same time, the movement happening here also attracted the attention of the guards at the Xue family. From all directions, dense spiritual consciousness gathered, and powerful auras were rapidly approaching. Who is making trouble here? Angry shouts broke out one after another. Seeing the escort team arriving, Xue Tian sneered a few times and was about to say something when suddenly goosebumps appeared all over his body and he felt chills all over his body. The aura of the man in the hat in front of him became particularly terrifying. The deep voice sounded like it was ringing in hell, revealing endless murderous intent. "As long as I can kill you, this beast, so what if I am never reincarnated?" Boom! As if activating some secret technique, the blood in Li Wujie's body was burning, and he held a long knife and slashed at Xue Tian, who had a look of horror on his face. Not good. Xue Tian's scalp was numb, and he held a folding fan in his hand to resist. This folding fan was a rare spiritual weapon. In the hands of a god transformation monk, it is definitely a superstandard weapon. If it were other god transformation monks, the magic weapons would be at the level of treasure weapons. Swish! The cyan light flew away with terrifying power, but was directly cut off by the ink-colored sword light. Xue Tian threw out the protective magic weapon and talisman with all his strength, hoping to delay more time, but the ink-colored sword light was very terrifying under the urging of the man in the hat, and it broke through all kinds of obstacles. Heavenly walk. At the critical moment, Xue Tian used the Xue family's strongest body technique to dodge the sword light as if it was penetrating the void. Puff! An arm flew with blood and fell into the lake with a splash. Ah! Xue Tian covered his broken arm and let out a shrill scream, holding back the severe pain. The thought of escape stimulated him to run desperately. Escape? Where do you want to escape? The man in the hat looked ferocious, holding a long knife and continued to chase. Someone, come and save me, Xuetiani was frightened to death. Stop hurting my young master. A large group of guards rushed over in shock and anger. Among them, several of the bosses were in the fusion realm and used all their strength to intercept this daring assassin. Anyone who stands in my way will die. The man in the hat burst out with surging momentum, fighting his way through regardless of his injuries. Although he was seriously injured by the backlash at the beginning, his strength has recovered a lot after using the secret technique. Now he insists on killing Xuetiani, even if his body will be very painful in the process. He is not afraid. Quick, stop him. Protect the young master. Shouts of shock and anger arose one after another, and the scene was in chaos. From time to time, guards were beheaded, and their corpses fell to the ground with their broken arms stained with blood. The strong smell of blood was very pungent. Boom. The several head guards were shaken several feet away, looking at the figure covered in blood with shock on their faces. How does this lunatic hold on until now? The man in the hat was seriously injured, dripping with blood, and even had bones exposed in several places, which was very terrifying. However, his eyes were ferocious and cruel, staring at Xuetiani's back, and roaring crazily, "You bitch, don't run away if you have the guts, my labor and management will hack you to death today." A fierce murderous aura swept over him. Xuetian's face turned pale, and his voice trembled. "This hero, who are you? I didn't offend you, did I? Why did you chase after me to kill him? I will never be able to repay the sins you have committed in this life. I swear I will definitely kill you." Fortunately, God opened his eyes and allowed me to wait for this opportunity. The man in the hat said coldly. He was dragging his severely wounded body, as if he were an evil spirit that chose people to devour, trying to drag this evil-doing playboy into hell. "Don't come over here." Xuetian's voice was filled with tears. He had never been so scared in his life. This is a lunatic. A complete lunatic. Because the noise was too loud, the Xue family's mansion was shaken. What's going on outside? Is there a fight? On such an important occasion, who can ride a horse without having eyesight? Have you heard that an assassin just attacked Mr. Xue? The guards of the Xue family are stopping him. Damn it. It's real. Hear the news. The banquet exploded and the guests filed out one after another. Hey, there is such a thing. Yi Junlin rubbed his chin and suddenly noticed Hong Qinya's playful expression. He smiled meaningfully and said, "Xiao Hong, have you discovered something in advance?" Hearing this, Hong Qinya was startled, quickly lowered his head and cupped his hands and said, "Master, this disciple is just guessing." Ha ha. Yi Junlin smiled and saw through it without saying anything. Anyway, this was a banquet at someone else's house. He originally thought it was just about eating, drinking, and bragging about each other, but now that there was such a good show to watch, he naturally wanted to join in the fun. "Take your junior sister by and go see it together." Yi Junlin said calmly. "Yes." Hong Qinya stretched out her hand and followed closely with Bai Xiaoxi in hand. Zhu Shu still wants to drink, still wants to drink. Bai Xiaoxi looked drunk and was talking nonsense. At this time, the news that an assassin had killed the young master caused an uproar in the Xue family mansion. Boom. A majestic and terrifying power rose into the sky, and the entire clear sky instantly turned black. Who dares to cause trouble in my Xue family? The ancestor of the Xue family appeared in the sky above the mansion. His eyes opened and closed with a cold light, and with a wave of his hand, an invisible force spread out. Oops! The man in the hat's face changed drastically. Even though he was struggling desperately, he was forced to get further and further away from his goal. In the end, he was suppressed to the ground, spitting out a large mouthful of blood, feeling depressed, and gritted his teeth and said, "Su Xian. Young master, are you all right?" With a crash, the guards quickly surrounded Xuetiani, who was still in shock. Among them, the leader of the guards at the fusion realm walked forward and asked nervously, "Snapped?" Xuetiani slapped him so hard that the head guard's eyes flashed with stars, and he cursed angrily, "Damn you! Didn't you see that this young master almost died? He even lost an arm. You're blind. Dog slave. The man lowered his head and did not dare to resist. And you are all trash. I will settle the score with you later. Hearing this, the guards looked bitter and groaned secretly in their hearts. Tianer, how are you? The head of the Shui family rushed over and hurried forward to ask with concern. Shui Tian's voice trembled. Dad, the child is fine, it's just the child's hand. Chapter 50 Sword Demon, Li Wujie. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The head of the Shui family looked at his son's bloody broken arm and said distressedly, It's okay. I just need to find your hand and reattach it. Where are your young master's hands? Answer me. The head of the Shui family turned to his men and asked. Report to the master, the young master's hand seems to have fallen into the lake. The subordinate said tremblingly. What are you doing standing still? Why don't you go find it quickly? Yes. The head of the Shui family looked gloomy and looked at the man in the hat who was still breathing and covered in blood. The other person's eyes were full of resentment, which made his heart skip a beat. Swish. The ancestor of the Shui family came to him with his hands behind his back and said coldly, If I hadn't taken action, your useless son would have died long ago. I have seen my ancestor. The head of the Shui family bowed his hands and said respectfully. Thank you ancestor for saving your life. Tianyi will never forget it. Shui Tianyi said excitedly. Okay, it's all our own people. The ancestor of the Shui family waved his hands, stared at the man in the hat with cold eyes, and his voice revealed an irresistible majesty. Tell me, who sent you here? How dare you make trouble at my banquet? You don't even take me seriously. He broke through the void immortal and told the world, but someone actually came to assassinate his direct grandson at this juncture. This is a blatant provocation. No matter which force is behind it, he will definitely use thunderous means to retaliate. Who sent you? Ha ha ha. The man in the hat laughed crazily, his laughter full of ridicule. Among them, there is a little sadness mixed in. This bitch has done so many evil things that God cannot tolerate. It's a pity that you took action, otherwise I would definitely kill him. The man in the hat roared angrily. From the looks of it, it's obviously a personal grudge. The ancestor of the Shui family frowned. Tianyi, do you know him? Shui Tianyi said angrily. Ancestor, he is this madman, I don't know him at all. There is something wrong with Ta Ma's brain, he will not stop until he chops me to death. In Shui Tianyi's opinion, this is an unforeseen disaster. Humph, I don't know you. Who are you? The head of the Shui family was so angry that he threw up his sleeves and yelled. The man in the hat spit out bloody spit and said fiercely, Listen up, your grandfather can change his name or not, Li Wujie. What? Are you Li Wujie? There were exclamations from the onlookers. One guest murmured, He is the sword demon Li Wujie. The sword demon Li Wujie is still very famous in several Daozhou states in the eastern region because his sword skills are fast and accurate, and he has no rules to speak of. Anyone he dislikes will draw his sword and kill them. It doesn't matter what your background is or what your identity is. Even when he was in Yunzhou, he went around looking for strong men to practice his sword skills like a madman. The people he found were often very unlucky, and almost ended up in ruins. For a long time, many monks in Yunzhou were in panic, fearing that they would be targeted by Li Wujie. Therefore, he was dubbed the Sword Demon. Unexpectedly, this man actually came to assassinate the young master of the Shui family. If this gets out, it will definitely be breaking news. Damn it, how could our Shui family's invitation be sent to such a demonic monk? The head of the Shui family looked ugly and roared at his subordinates. Stop shouting, it was stolen by labor and management. Li Wujie sneered. Regarding this, the head of the Shui family was speechless. Sword demon Li Wujie, Shui Tianyi said angrily, I have heard of you, but I have never seen you before. I have no enmity with you, why do you risk your life to assassinate me? No injustice. Li Wujie almost lost control of his emotions and roared, My sister will die in your hands. Your sister? Shui Tian was stunned. My sister's name is Li Xiaofei. She has been dependent on me since she was a child. Later we embarked on the path of spiritual practice, and the brother and sister traveled together in the eastern region. That year, my sister broke through the golden elixir and planned to travel to Lingzhou. She said she wanted to see the most beautiful flowers in the eastern region. The sea, and I got some kind of opportunity at that time, and I was addicted to practicing sword skills, so I didn't go with her. As a result, a few months later, the jade slip she left me broke, and I realized that she had appeared in Lingzhou. Accident. Li Wujie's eyes were bloodshot, and his tone was full of deep regret. I rushed to Lingzhou in a hurry, made inquiries in many places along the way, and almost lost all my family wealth. Only then did I get a key piece of information, that is, my sister, who once lived in Anyang City. I had a quarrel with you in Junlin, and was later captured by your Shui family guards, and has never been seen again. Everyone in Anyang City knows that Shui Tianyi, the young master of the Shui family, is extremely greedy for women. There are even rumors that you are secretly practicing the evil method of nourishing yin and replenishing yang. Many innocent female cultivators were tortured to death by you, and my sister is a golden elixir monk, and she will definitely fall into your clutches at that time. I can't imagine what kind of inhuman abuse my sister suffered before she died. It's all because of you. Shui Tianyi. From then on, I vowed to take revenge, no matter how high the price. Later, I practiced even harder, looking for people to compete with each other to improve my strength, and finally broke through the fusion more than 100 years ago. Then I began to wait for an opportunity to take revenge, but I found that every time you travel, you are followed by a group of powerful guards. If I take action, I will definitely fail, so I can only lie dormant and keep looking for opportunities, and this banquet held by your Shui family is the best time for me to assassinate you. As the saying goes, the most dangerous thing is the safest. I just want to attack you on the Shui family's territory, because that is when you are the most lax, and my success rate will be higher, but I didn't expect. Speaking of this, Li Wujie roared unwillingly, you beast is so tough. You are so hard to kill on horseback. I was just a little bit close. Just a little bit close. After hearing the whole story, many guests' faces showed surprise, and they looked at Li Wujie with eyes full of awe. Everyone knows that the young master of the Shui family has a bad reputation outside, and is known as the #1 dandy in Lingzhou. There have long been rumors that he uses yin to replenish yang and does all kinds of immoral things. However, due to his strong background, he walks around in Lingzhou without any reason. Who dares to provoke? Although Li Wujie is a feared sword demon, his reputation is much better than that of Shui Tianyi. It's a pity that this famous sword demon will die in the Shui family mansion today. Zui Xian Lu, Li Xiaofei. As soon as Shui Tian calmed down, he frowned and fell into memories. Then he looked at Li Wujie, who was covered in scars, and a playful smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. I see, I remembered it, that little Pepper is your sister. He has harmed countless female nuns. Basically, as time goes by, the general process will be forgotten, but there are always some female nuns who are more impressive, and they are worth recalling even after many years. For example, Li Wujie's sister is one of them. I still remember that her figure is explosive. Unfortunately, her temper is like a firecracker. It explodes at a moment's notice. But the more you tame this kind of woman, the more you will feel a sense of accomplishment. At that time, I was chatting with her in Jiuxian Tower, but she didn't know how to flatter me. Later, I asked my men to kidnap her and tie her to my bed. At that time, she looked very angry and scolded me. Later, what I did to her made her unable to hold back and cried and begged for mercy. That voice was so beautiful. Shui Tianyi seemed to be reminiscing in Tutade, that mare is really fierce, but in my hands, she will eventually be tamed and let me gallop as I please. Stop talking. Stop talking. Li Wujie looked painful and shed 2 lines of tears. The more the other party behaved like this, the more excited Shui Tianyi became. I tortured her for 3 days and 3 nights. At that time, she had lost all her cultivation and was already unconscious. I felt bored and broke her neck. ended her life in a very merciful way. Li Wujie, I've been so good to your sister, and you're willing to kill me? Shouldn't you be grateful to me? Ha 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 ha. Boom. Heard, Li Wujie completely collapsed, and with tears streaming down his face, he screamed hysterically, "You beast! You beast that has been stabbed 1,000 times! Why aren't people like you dead? Why are you still alive? I'm going to kill you, you ah 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 ah."